Imagine a key, not one made of iron or brass, but a key woven from words, vibrating with an ancient and potent frequency. This key was not lost to time by accident. It was carefully set aside, its true purpose whispered only in the most hidden of circles. It was considered too powerful, too transformative for the unprepared. They called it the Forbidden Lord's Prayer, not because it was evil, but because it held the radical power to shift one's reality from the inside out, to unlock a flow of abundance that the world had convinced you was meant for others, but never for you. This is not a myth or a story for the gullible. It is a spiritual legacy, a coded decree that survived persecutions and silence because its truth was too resilient to ever fade completely. Today, that key is not just presented to you as a historical curiosity, but as a living, breathing invitation to remember who you truly are. The true journey to abundance doesn't begin with a desperate grasp outward. It begins with a silent, powerful turn inward, where the spirit recognizes its own infinite nature and then watches as that truth manifests in the physical world. This happens when the word becomes a decree and faith ignites like a fire in the heart. This Forbidden Lord's Prayer is not merely a petition, it is an activation. Each phrase is a hammer striking the chains of lack mentality. Each word is a lightning bolt, illuminating the hidden pathways where your financial destiny awaits its call to bloom. In our time together, we will explore the profound essence of this ancestral prayer. We will uncover why it was once deemed dangerous, what potent symbolism is encrypted within its verses, and how its recitation can become a transformative ritual that touches the very core of your being. You will discover that this is not about begging from a distant heaven, but about reclaiming what is already written into your spiritual DNA: abundance, freedom, and wholeness. But listen closely, this knowledge is not for the faint of heart. It requires spiritual courage to speak these words, for they are not a common plea but a sacred pact. To utter them is to willingly open invisible doors, to turn sacred keys, and to set in motion cosmic gears that change not only your personal economy, but your very perception of life itself. So prepare yourself, close your eyes, open your soul, and ready yourself to walk this path of revelation. For by the end of this journey, you will understand precisely why this prayer was called forbidden, and more importantly, you will feel how its vibration resonates within your energy field, spilling abundance into every corner of your existence. This is the beginning of a transformation, and if you have found your way here, it is no accident. It is a sign that abundance is already seeking you. To grasp why a simple prayer could be considered forbidden, we must journey back through the intricate labyrinths of spiritual history. Across centuries, prayer has always been more than a dialogue with the divine. It has been a tool of power, a secret language capable of shaping consciousness and reality itself. In ancient traditions, words were not mere sounds. They were vibrations, decrees, keys that could unlock invisible doors. The traditional Lord's Prayer, passed down through mainstream Christian teaching, was for centuries considered the prayer of prayers. But on the margins of history, in apocryphal manuscripts, Gnostic codices, and within circles of persecuted mystics, different versions appeared, heavy with hidden symbols. These were not simple variations. They were potent formulas that expanded the prayer's meaning, moving it beyond supplication and into the realm of affirming the human being's innate creative power. The Gnostics, for instance, understood the words of the Christ to be encrypted codes. Every phrase carried a dual meaning, one for the masses and another deeper resonance for the initiated. From this understanding was born the idea of a secret or forbidden Lord's Prayer, one where you did not ask for daily bread, but for infinite abundance. You did not plead for forgiveness, but for liberation from mental chains. You did not invoke a distant heaven, but the activation of the internal heaven that each person carries within their consciousness. In the Hermetic esoteric tradition, the concept is strikingly similar. It was taught that the universe responds to clear and firm decrees, pronounced with faith and conviction. Prayers were seen as sacred enchantments, formulas that could align human energy with cosmic energy. Those who knew how to use the word with conscious intention could attract health, wealth, and wisdom. This is precisely why certain prayers were kept hidden. There was a fear that such potent knowledge could be misused, degenerating into manipulation or sheer greed. The Forbidden Lord's Prayer in this context represents a prayer in code, a formula that does not ask but declares. Its subversive nature lies in the fact that it returns to the human being the power to co-create their reality, something that, in many eras, was deeply uncomfortable for religious and political hierarchies. A person who discovers their capacity to decree abundance is no longer a fearful subject, but a free being. Echoes of this idea are found far beyond Christianity. In the Vedas of India, mantras were considered sonic seeds containing within themselves the power to manifest realities. In Jewish Kabbalah, combinations of letters and divine names were used as keys to open flows of spiritual and material energy. In mystical Islam, the Sufis would repeat dhikr, secret prayers that not only connected them with God, but also filled them with barakah, blessing and tangible abundance. So to speak of a Forbidden Lord's Prayer is not an act of heresy but an act of ancestral remembrance. It reminds us that prayer, when spoken from a place of conscious awareness, is not a weak supplication but a creative decree. It connects us to a long tradition of seekers who understood that the true temple is within, and that words spoken with faith can move the very structures of the universe. The mystery, then, is not that this prayer is dangerous, but that it reveals something many wish to keep hidden, that the human being does not only speak with God, but creates alongside him. To truly comprehend the power of the so-called Forbidden Lord's Prayer, we must look beyond prayer as a simple recited plea and see it for what it truly is: a vibrational code. Every word acts as a specific frequency that orders chaos and attracts a distinct pattern of energy into our lives. The secret lies in recognizing that this prayer is not about asking from a place of lack, but about decreeing from a place of certainty. The common mistake many make when they pray is to do so from a space of desperation. Give me, Lord, what I do not have. That vibration, far from attracting what is desired, only reinforces the energy of scarcity. The Forbidden Lord's Prayer inverts that entire logic. It is not about supplication, but about affirming that we are already heirs to divine abundance. In its pronouncement, one does not implore like a beggar, but declares as a co-creator: the kingdom is already within me. The wealth already flows. Provision is my natural birthright. Imagine you are standing before a mirror. If you smile, the reflection smiles back. If you frown, the reflection mimics your gesture. This is precisely how the universe operates. It is a perfect mirror of your internal vibration. If you pray with fear, the echo returned to you is fear multiplied. If you decree with certainty, the echo is abundance manifested. This prayer teaches us to look upon the universe not as a distant judge, but as that cosmic mirror that faithfully reflects the frequency we hold. Another fundamental aspect is the relationship between word and matter. From ancient creation myths to modern physics, the idea repeats that everything begins with the word, with a primordial sound. In the beginning was the Word, states the Gospel of John. What many forget is that this word is still alive within us. When we pronounce prayers charged with faith, we are not throwing words into a void. We are planting seeds that will germinate in our reality. The Forbidden Lord's Prayer, with its direct and affirmative phrases, is like a fertile field where abundance sprouts without resistance. Think of an everyday example. Someone who constantly says, "I don't have any money," is feeding a vibration of lack. The universe, that faithful mirror, confirms that reality. In contrast, the person who proclaims with conviction, "Money flows to me easily and effortlessly," is sending out a vibrational decree that reconfigures their entire energy field. The Forbidden Lord's Prayer functions in this way, but its effect is amplified. Each word is a hammer breaking down mental walls and a lighthouse attracting prosperity. The essential thing to understand is that the key to this prayer is not in its mysterious or censored character, but in its vibrational structure. It teaches us that abundance is not requested, it is activated, and that activation begins with language, but it must be accompanied by genuine emotion and unwavering certainty. Empty words do not transform. Words burning with faith, however, can move mountains. This is the real reason this prayer was kept secret, because not everyone was prepared to understand that the divine is not negotiated somewhere in the sky, but awakened within. If we have understood that the key lies in the creative vibration of its words, we must now delve into what makes it truly unique, its hidden nuances. This is not a prayer to beg for celestial alms, it is an act of spiritual sovereignty, a reminder that every human being carries the same creative breath that shaped the worlds. The first crucial nuance is the renunciation of fear. In traditional forms of prayer, one often prays from a place of guilt, from the feeling of being unworthy. But the Forbidden Lord's Prayer invites you to place yourself in a different position, not as a sinner begging for forgiveness, but as a child claiming their inheritance. This is revolutionary because it shifts the axis of power. It is no longer a distant God who grants favors, but a God alive within you, manifesting through your very words. The second nuance is that of abundance, understood as energy. When we speak of money and prosperity, we usually reduce it to bills, bank accounts, or material goods. However, in esoteric understanding, money is simply one form that the energy of life can take. When you recite this prayer, you are not only invoking external riches, you are opening internal channels for the universal energy of abundance to flow without obstacles. That energy can manifest as money, yes, but also as opportunities, connections, ideas, and creativity. The true secret is that this prayer tunes your vibration to the inexhaustible river of cosmic provision. The third nuance is that of responsibility. Pronouncing this prayer is not a magical act to receive without giving. It is a commitment. If you open the door to abundance, you must be willing to use it wisely. The prosperity that arrives is not capricious. It brings with it the imperative to share, to multiply, to elevate others. This is a key reason it was considered dangerous, because someone who is not spiritually prepared could easily become confused and use that current to feed the ego instead of the soul. Another fascinating aspect is the apparent contradiction between prohibition and blessing. How can something forbidden bring abundance? Precisely because what is forbidden, in this case, is not what is evil, but what is too powerful. Just as fire can provide warmth or consume, this prayer can transform or confuse depending on the heart of the one who speaks it. This is why it was veiled, because its phrases are not an innocent recitation, they are decrees that activate universal laws. Finally, there is the nuance of the union between heaven and earth. While the traditional Lord's Prayer lifts the gaze toward heaven, this one brings it down. It declares that the kingdom is here, that wealth descends now, that abundance is not a future promise but a present reality. This union turns every recitation into an act of incarnation, the invisible becoming visible, the eternal descending into the present moment. In summary, the Forbidden Lord's Prayer is not just a prayer, it is a key that unlocks consciousness, that tears down the walls of mental scarcity, and that reminds every person that abundance is not the privilege of a few, but the inheritance of all. The question is not whether it works, but whether you are ready to receive what you invoke. Knowing the Forbidden Lord's Prayer is just the beginning. The most important part is how you integrate it into your daily life, not as a superstition, but as a conscious practice that transforms your relationship with abundance. To recite this prayer is to plant a seed. It is not enough to plant it just once. It requires repetition, care, and faith to blossom in your reality. The first thing to understand is that this is not a weak request. It is a decree, a reminder of your creative nature. Therefore, every word must be spoken with intention, as if your voice were an instrument vibrating in tune with the universe. The number of repetitions matters less than the quality of your connection. Here is a reconstructed, esoteric version of the Forbidden Lord's Prayer. Take it not as dogma, but as a power mantra to decree abundance and freedom. Our Father, eternal force of the universe, sacred is thy power in me. May thy infinite abundance come unto us, and thy will of prosperity be done on earth, as it is already written in the heavens. Give us this day the wealth of each day, ideas, opportunities, open paths. Free us from the chains of scarcity and dissolve from our minds all guilt and fear. Lead us not into doubt nor into lack, for thine is the kingdom, the fullness, and the glory manifest here and now. So it is, so it shall be. The power of this prayer is in its structure. Notice how every phrase is designed to affirm, rather than supplicate. It does not ask for bread, it proclaims abundance. It does not focus on sin. It speaks of liberation from scarcity. It does not clamor for a distant future. It decrees wealth in the present. This difference is crucial because it changes the vibration from lack to fullness. How to use it in your daily life. Make it part of your morning routine. Upon waking, recite it with your eyes closed, breathing deeply, as if you were sowing the intention of prosperity into every cell of your being. Combine it with visualization. As you speak the words, imagine rivers of abundance flowing toward you. Money, yes, but also peace, healthy relationships, and inspiration. Make it a closing ritual. Before sleep, repeat the prayer and allow its vibration to accompany you into your dreams. You will see how your unconscious begins to work on new ideas and solutions. Most importantly, accompany it with action. Prayer is the first step, but abundance manifests through your capacity to act. Listen to the intuitions that arise after you recite it and put them into practice. Remember, the prayer is not an end in itself. It is a portal of transformation. Every time you pronounce it, you reaffirm your connection to the source of all abundance, and that sooner or later will reflect in your reality. We have reached the end of our journey, and now you understand that what seemed like a simple hidden prayer is so much more. It is a mantra of abundance, a decree of power, a key capable of opening doors that have remained closed within you for years. The Forbidden Lord's Prayer was not hidden because it was malign. It was hidden because it reveals something many traditions preferred to silence, that you are not a spiritual beggar waiting for alms from heaven, but a child of divinity, a bearer of a creative lineage, and the master of your destiny. Every word of this prayer is an affirmation of your greatness. When you proclaim, "May thy infinite abundance come unto us," you are not asking for something external. You are awakening the river that already flows within you. When you declare, "Free us from the chains of scarcity," you are not speaking only of money. You are speaking of liberating the mind from the limiting beliefs that keep you trapped in emotional, spiritual, and material poverty. And when you close with, "For thine is the kingdom, the fullness, and the glory manifest here and now," you are activating a fundamental principle, that abundance is not a future promise, but a present reality waiting to be recognized. The important thing is not to mechanically repeat the words, but to vibrate with them, to make them flesh in your life, to transform them into a habit that re-educates your mind and tunes your spirit to the frequency of prosperity. The real change does not happen when you listen to the prayer as if it were a magic spell. It happens when the prayer becomes your way of thinking, your way of speaking, and your way of acting. Many will continue to doubt, searching for excuses, waiting for external proof. But those who understand the mystery know that the universe does not respond to doubt. It responds to faith. And faith is not a blind act. It is the deep, unwavering certainty that abundance is your right, your inheritance, and your natural state. That certainty, vibrating within you, is what attracts the miracles that others call coincidence. Imagine what will happen if you decide to make this prayer your daily companion. You will not only attract money and opportunities, you will also attract peace, clarity, and the strength to walk in a world that often tries to convince you that you are small. The Forbidden Lord's Prayer is the sacred rebellion against scarcity. It is the voice that reminds you that you were born for fullness. And so now I ask you, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you listen once and forget? Or will you plant it in your life as a seed of abundance? The choice is yours, and every choice is a decree.